All civilizations claim that they were founded on love and justice. Ours is founded on hatred. He said, in our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. Everything else, we shall destroy everything. He said, we have cut the links between child and parent, and between man, and between man and woman. He said, no one dares trust a wife or a child or a friend any longer. But in the future, there will be no wives and no friends. Children will be taken from their mothers at birth. The sex instinct will be eradicated. Procreation will be, I'm sorry, the thing's not advancing. I gotta wait for it to cycle. Okay. Children will be taken from their parents at birth, their mothers at birth. He said the sex instinct will be eradicated. Procreation will be an annual formality like the renewal of a ration card. There will be no laughter except the triumph over a defeated enemy. There will be no art, no literature, no science. There will be no curiosity. He said, all competing pleasures will be destroyed. I want you to know that George Orwell just described the New World Order. George Orwell just described the New World Order that George Bush spoke about. The New World Order of Orwell is the New World Order of George Bush. And to show you that what Mr. Orwell talked about is happening, let me refer you to an action taken by the United Nations. On January the 26th, 1990, the United Nations formally signed a comprehensive document with the stated purpose of protecting the children worldwide from tyranny and exploitation. This is a picture on the front row, a little bit up to the left, of then President George Bush attending the conference. More than 70 heads of state gathered in New York to approve the document, and George Bush was there. The article says this: in the days before the summit, both houses of the U.S. Congress hurriedly passed resolutions calling on President Bush to sign the convention and then send it to the Senate for ratification before attending the summit. Although he voiced support for the convention, George Bush did not sign it, but the United Nations did. This document is called the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and it contains 30 articles. I'm going to read just 4 of them to show you that the purpose of this convention is to further erode the family as a unit. Let's read 4 of the articles approved by the United Nations. Article 13 grants your child freedom of expression and the right to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds in the form of art or other media of the child's choice. Let's say that you discover that your son, and for the purpose of saving time, I'm going to refer to all children in this discussion is in the male gender. Let's say that your son has started reading pornography and you don't believe that he should. You can't object, because to do so would deny him of the right to receive ideas of all kinds. Let's say that you discover that he has rented X-rated movies to view on your VCR in your home, and you don't think it is good for him to view this material. The United Nations does not want you to deny him his right to seek all kinds of information. So you go to jail and the state takes your son. Article 14 guarantees freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. If your child wishes to worship with the neighborhood family of another faith, or if he doesn't wish to join with you as you practice your faith, you cannot prevent him from attending those other services. You can't require that he attend your services with the rest of your family. Let's say that he starts going to a satanic mass as his choice of religion, and you object. You can't stop him because he has the right of religious freedom. Article 15 prohibits any restriction on a child's freedom of association except as is necessary for national security. You cannot restrict his right to associate with people you don't approve of, but the government can if they draft him and put him into the army. In other words, they can force him to associate or restrict his right to associate in the army, but you can't if he joins a street gang that you don't approve of, for instance. Notice that the current argument about allowing straights to associate with gays in the armed forces is a forced association of those who don't want to share toilet facilities with gays. Sounds like the United Nations and not the government of the United States is mandating that gays and straights live together in the armed forces. The government can force him to associate with those you wouldn't want him to associate with for public safety or for other reasons. They can jail him for crimes that you were unable to prevent him from committing and then force him to associate with people you couldn't prevent him with associating with. Article 16 grants absolute right of privacy to any child, including privacy from his or her parents. Let's say that you suspect that your son has hidden some drug paraphernalia in his room and you want to search his room and locate it. You can't do that because he has the right to privacy in your home. Notice that the room that your son occupies now belongs to your son and not to you. It is your home, but it is his room. Why does the United Nations offer these ideas? There is only one purpose. The purpose of the United Nations is to destroy universally the family so that the New World Order, which is rapidly approaching, will succeed. And there were some in the United States Senate who wanted the family unit to be destroyed. They wanted this resolution passed. Everyone who listens to television knows that child abuse is rampant. Parents all over the country are bashing their children to such an extent that society has begun to respond. Law number 6003.1 in New Hampshire defines child abuse as any intentional striking of a minor by any method whatsoever, including an open hand. So if the parent wishes to spank their child in New Hampshire, it is now against the law. So the child who acts intolerably cannot be punished by spanking as a method of improving behavior. Discipline will become obsolete. Only the society will have the right to discipline your wayward son. They will have the right to jail him after he commits some crime because he could not be disciplined by you as a young child. So it becomes important now to examine why it is that we as children generally lived with our parents as we were growing up. And secondly, why our parents were one man and one woman. And it's simply because our parents were free to choose and they could have chosen not to live that way. So the question is, why did they choose to live that way? And the answer is very simple. They chose to believe in a God. And because they chose to believe that that God wanted them to live that way. Because our parents generally believed that the God of the Bible made the family and that he wanted that family to be one man and one woman. And that he wanted the parents to raise that child themselves. And that they were to discipline that child so that he would grow up to be a decent and moral citizen. We are certainly free to choose not to live as man and wife. We are certainly free to choose not to have our children live with us as parents. And if we eliminate the concept of religion and the concept that there is a God, we will feel no guilt if we do these things considered to be a sin by religion. If we eliminate God and religion, we can choose to live another way. And that other way is called the New World Order. Why must we have a new civilization to be called the New World Order? There is a severe crisis coming. We will put a date on when these changes are coming a little later. Now let's discuss exactly what this New World Order is. We've seen that it appears to be the exact opposite of the old world order, and it is. Perhaps the best summary of this New World Order was offered by Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, a French writer and socialist who wrote this in the 1850s. He wrote, this socialist, our principle is atheism in religion, meaning there will be no worship of the God of the Bible in the future, anarchy in politics, meaning there will be no restraints on the people by any government in the future, and no property in the economic sphere, meaning there will be no right to private property. We'll connect all of this in a few minutes, but what he described is the New World Order. Mr. Proudhon understood. And the next question I'd like to examine is why there are some who believe that we must change our way of living. Why must we have a new civilization? One who answered that question was B.F. Skinner, chairman of the psychology department at Harvard University. He has been called the most influential psychologist of our times. So when he speaks, we are taught that we should listen. He has written a book entitled Beyond Freedom and Dignity, in which he writes this. Hold on, America. Listen to this. We can no longer afford freedom, so it must be replaced with control over man, his conduct, and his culture. Why must we abolish freedom? Because freedom has enabled us, Americans, to literally destroy the world. For example, we've caused pollution in the environment, we've overpopulated the planet, and this overpopulation has caused famines, and that has starved millions of people all over the world. We, in the industrialized free world, have allowed the free enterprise system to enable the rich to steal all of the property from the poor. Marriages are ending in divorce. Child abuse is rampant. Banks and savings and loans are failing all over America. And corruption in business and government is everywhere. Now, we do not have to live this way. This can all change. A new civilization has to be created to replace the old civilization. A new civilization will end all of these abuses, and the new civilization is called the New World Order. But those who want the New World Order will not tell us that they were the ones who caused the problems in the first place. It has been reported that the students at Stanford University in California had a rally in which they were asked to chant, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Western Civ has got to go." They were not demanding that the administration of the university stop the teaching of a course known as Western Civ 101A. They were talking about the very way all of us live our lives. So the demand for change is everywhere, and change is coming. Another group of people are also looking for a change, are also looking for a new world order. This is a book written by a witch entitled An ABC of Witchcraft, Past and Present. And on page 15 of her book, this witch says, people are advancing towards a new society. Notice that the author does not say that this new society is called the New World Order, but the author says that a new society is coming. And secondly, notice that she claims that the future she envisions is an advancement over the old society. But we the people don't want these changes to a new civilization. We are going to have to be tricked or deceived into accepting them. And here's the way we're going to make the change. I'd like to return now to the book written by Aldous Huxley entitled Brave New World Revisited. He told us this in that book. In the end, they, meaning the people, will lay their freedom at our feet. Notice that Mr. Huxley was claiming to be one of those in charge because he said our feet, meaning the feet of the controllers, and to say to us, make us your slaves, but feed us. So Mr. Huxley felt that he was one of them, one of these controllers. What he was saying was that we, the people, are going to get hungry, and when we do get hungry, we would demand these changes. We are going to surrender our freedoms to the controllers for some food, but it doesn't have to be a famine. They could use many other alternative plans. It could be an economic collapse to make us give up our freedoms. It could be a nuclear terrorist attack. It could be a supposed threat from these so-called UFOs. It could be a major environmental disaster. But the point is that we, the people, will ask them to give us the New World Order in trade for our freedoms. That is what Mr. Huxley said in his book. So there is a planned calamity coming, perhaps a famine, to convince us to give up our freedoms. We are going to be told that that will be the only way to meet the crisis. But he is not the only one talking about dramatic change. Benjamin Crumb has written about this, and I would like to refer to another quote in his book entitled The Reappearance of the Christ and the Masters of Wisdom. Here's what Benjamin Crumb wrote. We are moving into a period of climax leading to events which will fundamentally alter life as we know it. Tremendous changes are taking place in all departments